Hello, it is me, Pearl from Pearl and the Prayers, and this is Tuned In Tarot. And we are here to take a look at the balance between the divine masculine and the divine feminine energy inside of self, understanding that whatever state we find this energy in, we can expect to see that reflected back to us in our interactions with others, in our external environment. And if we want to see change, we do need to shift and make change within us. 333, when I'm saying that as a confirmation. Also, 333 came up yesterday, so that might be a significant number for some of you in the collective. It is the week ahead reading, so we're going to look at just what to expect going forward into this week, what we're carrying in from last week, what we're currently in. If we do nothing, if we don't take any of the advice that I'm going to give, if you don't shift your perspective at all, where you're going to end up. But if you do take the advice, if you do shift your perspective, you can also change your outcome. And that's the benefit to my readings, because I actually give you what you need to be able to shift your energy. I don't just go, hey, no, that's not going to happen. Bye. Have a great day. I hope you feel good later. That's not my style. So if you would like to support my channel, please make sure you go ahead and click like right now, subscribe, hit the notification bell, make sure you share this. That's just those are just the basic things to do to help me grow. And then if you want to go a step further, if you feel so called, you can click the link in my profile. There's places to donate for this channel, and I am seeking donations at this time. I definitely need them. And there's also places to book readings. Every reading right now is on sale, so go check that out. And the intuitive guidance call, which is an hour-long virtual session with me, is half price. Also, remember that if you become a member at the $100 level, so if you click on the link that says Pearl's Prayers, there's a $1, $15, $30, or $100 level. And if you do become a prayer at the $100 level, you do receive a free monthly intuitive guidance call, which you can use for anything. You could take music lessons, you can learn tarot, you can gab fest about your twin flame experience, you can allow me to help you pursue your passions, help you with spiritual nourishment, whatever it is that you might need support in. If you follow me for a while and you're at that level of membership support, you probably know what you need from me at that point. I thank you in advance for becoming a member. That is a limited membership opportunity, and it will be closed once I hit 10 members. So if you're interested in that, now would be the time to go ahead and start that. And I think that's everything I have for you. I decided not to do this live today. I just wanted to look straight at this camera and just channel and not have like TikTok interruptions for today. Just for my sanity, I guess. Okay. So let's start. We're going to look at the top of the deck for the feminine and masculine energy. We're using the Cosmic Tarot in the headspace for, or I mean, in the divine feminine heart space, and then we're using in the headspace the divine masculine tarot of 78 doors. There we go. And what we have is pretty interesting. So where the heart is right now is overall we have this justice energy. This is where the heart is. Now this is the heart, your heart, and if you want to apply this to a connection, it would be the heart of the person who matched you. Unfortunately, a lot of times the people that we're focused on are really not a match to us, so we try to do the math. We're like, oh, this person should feel like that, and then you come back later and comment, he's in another relationship, he just broke up with me and told me he wanted to be with someone else. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's happening, then it's probably not your match. And the best indication of that is that they just did the opposite of what the person who would match your energy would do. Okay, so that's one way to understand how that works a little better. But right now, the heart is fixed on justice. This is seeing justice, experiencing justice, doing justice to the things that you love, whether that be a connection, a person, a passion that you have. But the heart is like, I want to do justice. I want to feel justice is done. There's definitely a fixation with balance, because when I pulled my card that I pulled today, I was noticing the scales, the balance scales on the back of this card. And that card for me, I decided as I pulled it and saw that, I was like, this is going to be what is going to balance the scales. And so it's funny that it's overall in the heart space. This can also be a card of apologies and karmic lessons. So, this can be about somebody apologizing for treating you very harshly or seeking um, some kind of some way to make it up to you if they have done something that has really hurt you. I see the feminine seeing very clearly, obviously, with the imagery of this card. She sees right through some things. So if masculine energy approaches her right now, she is seeing whether he's imbalanced or not. She can see that. And there's no more like clouded vision. She's doing justice to her worth by understanding that when people approach her who are not worthy of her or who are not acting worthy of her, she sees it right away. She's not blinded, as sometimes justice, right, is known to be blind, but divine feminine is not enacting blind justice. That's another thing too. So she might see a person acting less than savory. However, she understands and has compassion from the feminine heart. She weighs out the reasons behind actions, and she's fair. So that's the overall energy, a very fair and balanced divine feminine. I really like that. If you were a person that was going to apologize to someone today for having done something wrong, 339 when I'm saying this, I think that you would really receive a lot of graciousness in that apology, because the feminine feels that she can see clearly why you might have done what you've done. So the emotional part of the person that you would apologize to would be very compassionate and very understanding right now. So that is overall for this week boding very well. I'm also just seeing in terms of divination, if you've got a justice card as your overall energy, that could be contracts, legally binding contracts, starting a new job. It could be entering into a long-term commitment or exiting a long-term commitment, especially one with a legal contract involved. It could be signing leases on apartments, all kinds of things like that. But it's a feeling more, so I'm seeing it more as just something that you maybe you feel something is more fair this week than you have in the past. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you're feeling a lot of injustice, but we'll see as we get more into the week. For the divine masculine, so the mind, so the heart is feeling all of that. The head, the mindset, and the person who is more leaning more into their masculine energy than their feminine energy, they are in this Knight of Wands energy, or your mind is in this Knight of Wands energy. Now, Knight of Wands, it gets a bad reputation for being inconsistent, ineffective, inefficient, shallow sexual energy, love bombing. But coming out with the Justice card, I find it highly unlikely that the person who is in the Knight of Wands energy would be in shadow right now, unless they were apologizing for having been in shadow, because my feeling for the Justice card was not one of negativity, or it was, like I said, it was something, it seems like apologies will be accepted this week for perhaps behaving in this Knight of Wands energy, for moving too fast, or having had other relationships or other connections with other people that were not very meaningful, of love bombing you without having any way to consistently keep showing up. And then the very positive meaning I'm getting from this is that you are finally going to see justice, because finally someone is coming through here to sweep you off your feet, or something is going to just carry you away, something that you're very passionate about, and I think something you've been seeking, because I see a seeking for knowledge thing coming through here too. So I just feel a lot of positive energy with this week, and not negative energy. If you see the Justice card in the Knight of Wands, you're like, oh no, it's like the karmic blah blah blah. It's not that at all. And also, those readings they're not helpful. Can I just tell you right now, they're not helpful to you. I know 100% they are. Just believe me. Okay, so something that you don't really see coming. We've got that Justice card being paired with the Eight of Pentacles. For me, like I said, work contracts or some signing of some contracts, or being able to make something or do justice to something you've been working on or creating, or maybe you were working on a connection or a relationship and you're finally seeing justice in regards to it. seeing the hard work that you've done pay off, because it's coming out with the Empress, which we're going to see again. And the Empress is coming up in the back of the mind. Okay, so this is something that you don't see coming. I think that you're finally going to be appreciated. Your work is going to be appreciated. You're going to be recognized for your work. That's definitely coming up here at the end of the reading, so I know that maybe this isn't something you see coming. I have a feeling that you've been patiently working on things, creating things, generating something. Very, very patient in this process. And you've done it with a lot of care, and you've spent a lot of time and a lot of attention on this. And it's probably a few different things. It's probably a connection, relationship, yourself, work, like it's all different things. But finally, I see justice coming in regards to this. The work that you've done, like you're finally going to be feeling like an empress. And I think that's great, because if we go into the very beginning of this reading, which is my past placement, what have you been carrying in with you? You have the Empress and the Six of Cups. Now, this is such an interesting pairing, because this is probably something about our childhood, our mother. It can be about an ex-wife or the mother of our children. That can be something that can come through for, like, if you're listening to this 344 as I'm saying this, for information about another person. But because of the positive energy here of the Empress coming out as something that's coming through for you, what I really think this is that when you were a child, you had a vision of who you would be when you were fully grown up, when you had achieved every aspect of the Empress, the Queen of Cups, the Queen of Swords, the Queen of Wands, the Queen of Pentacles, all fulfilled here in the Empress. And you imagined it when you were little. And it was, you know, when you pictured your life and whatever it was, you knew that you could just be this amazing whatever. It could be wife and mother, it could be literally anything. But you saw it and you knew it. And you're carrying this with you into this current energy, which I think is very, very good. I think you're carrying the belief in your abundance, prosperity, fertility, creativity, ability to attract partners and attract opportunities and attract flow of money to you. That's what you're carrying in. And it's showing me that you probably have done a lot of inner child healing, particularly in regards to mother wounds. You or your person, or both, most likely both. In terms of a person in this energy, what I'm also seeing is, yes, they're probably carrying in an ex-wife, baby mama, children, or some maternal wounds from their childhood. But again, I'm getting an energy that is calm and not panicked or upset or worried about it. So I don't think it's a negative thing. Maybe like if you were in a situation with somebody who had, you know, a past partner and children, and it was really difficult for them, maybe they have been able to finally work out something with that Justice card. A fast solution with the Knight of Wands. Something that's just finally going to create some openness, so that they've opened up their life. So something has happened. Maybe somebody violated a legal contract in their benefit. Like, if they had a divorce and there was an agreement, maybe the ex-partner has done something that's shifted the agreement, changed the amount of money involved. There's just something positive coming from those two cards for me. And the Empress seems so calm. She doesn't seem like, you know, I'm not scared of her energy in this in any way. And she's really benevolent here, too. Again, with children at her feet. So something has happened where maybe if you have had custody issues, like you're finally going to see a resolution to that, or something good is really in the works for you. I love that. Okay, so that's what you're bringing in, okay? Where you currently are is you feel you're at a crossroads, definitely, because we have two cards coming up. We have the Two of Swords here. In this card, the feminine is sitting on a bench alone and she has a cat. This is an unusual image for a Two of Swords. Normally we're going to see closed off body language with swords crossing, here the swords are just sticking here, kind of benign. And she's just petting her cat. And so whenever I see this image, all I think of is Abraham Hicks, who, if you're not familiar, you can go check YouTube for Abraham Hicks and probably help you out a lot. But Abraham Hicks is somebody who talks about the law of attraction. And one of the things that Abraham always says is that when your mind is all like, when there's a lot going on, when you're kind of in a tizzy, when things are all messed up and you're trying to create something, and like let's say you're in a terrible financial situation and you're thinking about it all the time. She says, just pet your cat. Just pet your cat, pet your dog, or whatever. And when you first hear that advice, you're like, okay, yeah, but I have a lot of bills to pay. So petting my cat is really not going to be a good thing for me. But once you start to practice this idea of when your mind is running away with you with these fears, which really are illusions, because usually what we're fearing is not happening in the given moment. It's something we perceive will happen if we don't do X, Y, or Z, or if X, Y, or Z doesn't happen or occur or whatever. The second we detach from that kind of thinking, which is causing us to have feelings that are basically preparing for the disappointment or whatever it is that we are afraid of happening, and we just pet our cat or pet our dog or read our favorite book or get cozy in bed and cover up in the blankets and just close our eyes and think about how good it feels. It's when we're in those moments where we're just detaching from the thought process that's going on about making a decision, that's when inspiration happens. The shadow of this card is that if you stay in this energy too long and you don't make any decision, the universe comes in and makes a decision for you, and it's usually involving a tower, and we don't love towers. But we don't love change in general, so I just think it's change itself and not necessarily the tower. It's usually something that we sought, and we're upset when it comes, and then we're like, well, I asked for this. The best example I have for this is that years ago, when I didn't realize how powerful I was as a manifester, I was working at Starbucks, and I had this one manager who I really felt bullied by, and she would just say really hurtful things to me, and I was very sensitive at the time. And I just didn't like working with her. It's very, very uncomfortable, to the point where I really dreaded going into work. And so as I was going to sleep one night, I was just like, please, I just don't want to have to deal with her tomorrow. Whatever you can do to just keep me from having to go in and deal with her, whatever. And then at 4 a.m, I get rudely awakened by a policeman knocking on my door to inform me that a drunk driver has totaled my HHR that was parked in front of my building, and I couldn't go to work because my car was totaled. And so later in the day, as I'm trying to figure out what's gonna happen, and I'm upset, and I'm not in a financial position to replace a car, even though the insurance would cover it, you're still out of pocket at first. And I was just freaking out and everything. And then I was talking to my sister, and she said, well, at least you didn't have to go in and deal with that manager. And I had a light bulb go off where I was like, oh my God. Because at that time I understood manifestation to a certain point, and I realized that I had been really sloppy. That I shouldn't have been praying for anything at all to happen for me not to go in. I should have been praying for me to be able to be always on the schedule when she was not scheduled, in a way that was beneficial to me. Which is what I did. And you know what? She left. She left probably a couple weeks later, and I actually didn't ever have to work with her again. So sometimes you get what you want, but when you just let the universe do it, instead of, I could have proactively gone to my boss and said, hey, I just really don't work well with this person. Please help me out on the schedule here. And I could have explained it to her. Maybe there would have been disciplinary action. I don't know. But regardless, at the end of the day, right, it's better for you to be in control of how this happens. I saw this good thing today about manifestation, that the biggest mistake people make is that they just decide they're going to manifest something without any plan. And you're supposed to manifest your plan. You're supposed to have an intention and then have a plan surrounding the intention. And you're supposed to allow yourself to be inspired around the plan, but there still has to be a plan. And so I think that's something that's important to hear right now, so that you don't end up with manifesting something you don't want just because you don't want to make a decision about it. But the heart feels like it's at this standstill. It's not stressed and pressed about the standstill. The heart is just kind of content right now. It feels a little bit peaceful, honestly. I'll just pet my dog. I'll just take her outside and let her play in the snow. I'll just enjoy this cup of coffee. I'll just do a reading. It feels good to do that, right? It's okay. It's kind of fine, like not making up your mind right now. What the head is doing, though, is a little bit different than what the heart is doing. The head has taken the Hermit card and the Four of Wands card and then propped that Moon card right in front of it. So, and this Two of Swords is sitting snugly on top of it right now. And so this is what you're trying to make up your mind about. And that's really hard because it's something you don't have a lot of control over, okay? It seems, you perceive. Okay, so the current energy is, here's the Hermit energy. Here's a person who is being offered from this feminine energy all of this abundance. Like, you can have all of this. And they're like, no, I just want to be alone. Okay, in that image. And then in this image, we have the Four of Wands. This is a family celebrating. It's snowing outside, which it's doing right now. And they're all warm and cozy inside. And they love each other. And there's this healthy foundation. We literally see the steps entering into the foundation of this house, because this is a card about structures, healthy, positive dynamics, etc. So on top of that, we have the moon. And in this moon card, we see a maternal energy here. She's actually with child, which is significant. That might be about having an idea about something, or wanting to birth some idea into the world. We have the moon, of course, is associated with Pisces and Cancer energy. So we have the Cancer energy of home, etc., and safety. But then we have the moon card, which is like really ethereal and not at all about the world or the 3D. And so I feel like that's what gives this card an uneasy feeling, 355, when I'm saying this. So what I see here is that the decision that needs to be made, or the decision, or the thing that feels like Divine Feminine is waiting maybe to understand, has something to do with, and the moon being in this card too, also significant for me, it has something to do with her subconscious fears that are blocking her ability to be able to make a choice in the direction she wants to go. So this is true of a person too. This is not just you, but like if your person hasn't made some kind of a decision or whatever, it's because they're blocked in being able to maybe see where something is going to lead. And so they're just kind of sitting there, not sure about making a choice, okay? That is the current energy that we bring into this week. We might come back to this, but I think it's pretty clear. I think we're afraid of not being able to have what we desire. I think the heart wants family, support, connectedness. I think the mind wants independence and freedom. I think that the heart desires a loving connection, long-term commitment. I think the head is afraid we're just going to be alone forever. And so it's like, how do I make up my mind? How do I plan where I'm going to go if I don't know if I'm planning for a future by myself, or if I'm planning for a future with my family, or with a family that I want to create, that I want to birth into being here. Maybe literally or metaphorically, depending on where you are in your journey. Okay, so that's where the current energy is. Now, if we do nothing else, if you don't take any of the advice I'm giving, pay attention to any of the oracles, and you just go la-di-da about your day for the rest of the week and completely forget that you saw me, this is where you will go. So, Divine Feminine, Two of Swords, I can't make up my mind. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm afraid to make a decision. I don't want to go in the wrong direction or whatever. We end up with another two. The Two of Wands. Now, if you're the Two of Swords, this is a refusal to make a decision. The Two of Wands is a willingness to make a decision because you're restless and you can't stay in stasis anymore. So there is a feeling of finally making a choice or a decision. Now, what's interesting is there is a masculine energy at the center of this decision. So if this is a situation where you have been wondering if you were going to be alone, or if you were going to actually be able to be in a connection with a soulmate or a long-term partner or whatever, you are going to decide this week that you are no longer going to look at a future where you are all by yourself. that is not what you're going to look at. And that's also your person too. Your person is like, I'm no longer going to be the only one that I plan for or think about. And the reason that I say that is because also what is coming up here is the Star card and the Three of Pentacles, which is all about working or collaborating. So the hope then, the wish that you would not be walking this path alone, and I'm also seeing a feminine and a masculine represented here. You wish that you would not be walking alone, and I feel that that is exactly what you're going to decide. That you're deciding this week, I will not be making this journey alone. I'm going to have help on this journey. Now, I am excited because while this may mean for some of you that you decide that you are going to pursue a connection or, you know, make a change in focusing only on one energy and actually open up to new energy coming on your path or crossing paths with someone new so that you can finally have a life where you do create the Four of Wands, which I think is what you're strongly leaning towards. Because when my cards are down on the table in front of me like this, I don't know how to illustrate this best. Let's see what happens when I flip it around. Oh, it's the same. Okay. So when I'm looking down at my cards, she's sitting on the side of the Four of Wands. So I feel that you're leaning into the Four of Wands energy of having partnership. Now, this means that you're not going to be doing hyper independence anymore. You're going to be looking for support in a lot of ways too, not just in a romantic connections. For me, this is like, I know I want to be a star and I can't do that alone. So I need to seek an agent, a manager, somebody who can help me. I really need to prioritize that and work towards that. And that's what I will do this week. Like, something about that is going to come through for me this week. So that's how I can look at it for myself. You'll have to do your own math there. But wishing to work with somebody, you're actually making a decision that you're no longer going to try to like make yourself feel better about being alone. You're going to be like, no, I deserve to be in partnership, and I absolutely will be in partnership. And that is what I'm going to envision. That is what I'm going to look towards in the future. And I won't make any plans until I'm making plans with someone else. That's something that I'm hearing coming through. Okay, let's look at all of your oracles now and see what is the... Wow. I'm so excited for that. Okay. So here are this, basically these are the things you need this week to be conscious of. Crow spirit is coming out here. Now, crows, I saw, well, actually those aren't crows. Oh, there they are. I saw the crows over here in this card. And then, or just black winged birds. There are silhouetted birds here, but those look like owls to me based on their wingspan and the time of night. But the crow spirit, the thing that's most exciting to me about this is the co-create with spirit message, because that's absolutely giving this Three of Pentacles with the star vibes, co-creating with spirit. So your question then, the reason why you're sitting here and being like, I don't know what to do, is because you think you're making this choice alone. You think that this is a decision you're making all by yourself, and it's not. It's a decision that you're making with spirit. And as soon as you tell spirit what you want, as soon as you decide which direction to go in, which road to travel on, everything is going to line up to bring you right to that. But you have to decide that. You have to decide it, and then you have to set the intention. For instance, I think in the past what I have done is I've said, like, I decide that I need a music manager to help me so that I can find somebody to help me have regular gigs and get brand deals, and honestly somebody that can probably keep me in some kind of a structure, because I don't have one. And so I've said that before. That's not something I have just decided. Like, I've wanted that for a long time. I've tried to manifest it in different ways, whatever. But I have not done intentional co-creation to manifest this. Like, I could go to ChatGPT right now, explain everything about myself that I need to, send it to my website, show it how many followers I have, and say, okay, what do I need to do at this point to attract management or an agent to help me? And it will give me a list of step-by-step things. And then I'm going to do them. That's co-creating with spirit. Like, there's literally a free way for you to get any question you have answered, and you haven't tried to ask someone else. You just keep trying to do it by yourself. And artificial intelligence is literally programmed to be able to go through so many different permutations of what could possibly work for you. I don't know why I just picked up my phone. That was weird. Okay, the Spirit Animal Oracle. Maybe you're going to get a call or a text. Number 17. Okay, as you look around you, can you sense the magic that pulses through the world? Have you witnessed how every thought can become a thing? I literally talked about that. How every intention can call the universe into action as the sacred laws shape what you experience? The universe works in perfect order. When you align your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs with the spirit, look at that. When you align, there's a Three of Pentacles, that's a Trinity. Your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, there with that hope card, with spirit, you will want to crow with delight, feeling the excitement and wonder of being in harmony with something much larger than yourself. Crow Spirit says you are right on target now to see your dreams magically come into being in the visible world. The laws of abundance, compensation, frequency, and praise are operating in your favor now. Remember to be grateful and praise what is yours, even if it is still coalescing into form, still residing in the invisible realms of co-creation. No matter what area of your life you're concerned with now, what you hope for is on its way, for Spirit is your co-creation partner. Wow, so that was a pretty clear message. Okay, your next card is the reciprocity card. This is an important card for me. This is the card that came up for me when I was designing my prayer last month. And this month's prayer is to release any energy that takes more than it gives. But last month was to be able to envision my success and take swift, undeniable action to move forward without fear. I guess it was before that I prayed for reciprocity. I don't know. I've been praying for Navina since January, and they're working. Believe me, I'm definitely experiencing reciprocity now. In connections, when I talk to people on Hinge, like I definitely am getting the same amount of time and energy put back in for some people that I've interacted with. So I'm definitely seeing reciprocity way more than I was before. It may seem counterintuitive, but healthy interdependence is a superpower. In a society that wants you to be both selfless and self-reliant, receiving is an act of rebellion and is key to reciprocity. You may have been taught not to speak your needs, not to be emotive or vulnerable. You may have been told that it's better to give than to receive. Look at what an unhealthy society and unhealthy psyche that creates. None of us exists in a vacuum. The human psyche is hardwired for love and belonging. The only way to maintain that connection is with reciprocity of both giving and receiving. It is time to review your overextensions and burdens. Evaluate how comfortable you are asking for what you need. Unclench the fists of white-knuckled resiliency and open the palms of receptivity. Okay, so the rabbit spirit on this card and the Empress energy is giving fertility of ideas and creativity right now. And so this may be very much in regards to your creative endeavors as well as a connection with someone else. Okay, so this is how you will balance the scales this week in your connection with the divine, with yourself, with the world, with another person. Here is how you are going to balance the scales. You're going to repeat on a daily basis, and you're going to live on a daily basis. I give offerings that are genuine. Okay, we have somebody who's very heart-centered here in this image. I give offerings that are genuine. So offerings are anything that you bring to the table, right? This is number 6 in this deck. And it says, The core of Buddhist philosophy stems from an understanding that life is riddled with suffering, and it is our attachment to suffering that lends our life experiences more suffering. In finding mental, emotional, and spiritual liberation from suffering, we attain nirvana, the transcendental state where we are free from the fetters of materialism, detached from the effects of karma, and liberated from the cycle of death and rebirth. In the Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean, translated by Dr. Doriel, a comparable archetype is considered in the halls of Amenti, or the Akashic records, where records of past and future lives coexist. But there is also a space where the soul is free from the body, living in light, and able to begin the cycle yet again, if it so chooses. Quote, "Dwell here, or leave here when thou desireth. Free is Amenti to the Son of Man. Take thou up life in what form thou desireth. Child of the light that has grown among men, choose thou thy work, for all must labor. Never be free from the pathway of light." From the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. In exploring the ideal of giving offerings that are genuine from a space of non-attachment with the living philosophy of a light heart in harmony with authenticity beyond any dogmatic system, we must be reminded of the core meaning of what it is to offer in the first place. The word offering finds its root from a Latin offere, meaning to bestow or present, but it eventually evolved into the Old English offrian, which meant to sacrifice in the way of an offering to a deity. Modern society has conditioned us to believe that we must give to receive, and in order to receive, we must give. It is a platitude that inadvertently feeds the idea of attachment, because if we give so much and feel as though we are not receiving an equal echo back, it can cause us to experience the suffering of expectations. The popular movie and book series The Secret further fed this idea, not only in giving to receive, but also by stressing that by echoing thoughts and visualizing the material possessions you want and need to have, the universe will open every path and allow the new car or $1 million check to magically materialize in your life. While thought and action do echo back into reality and manifest, materialize in some fashion or other, we must be reminded of why we want what we want, and if the reason is to feed the soul or fill a void. Quote, "Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates," by the Kabbalion. The fifth hermetic principle from the esoteric Kabbalion relates to the principle of rhythm and the fact that the universe always compensates for what is put out mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. In living in alignment with the heart and giving genuine offerings that provide spiritual nourishment without any expectation of getting something back, we in effect do get something back by the kindness that ripples through the collective unconscious, the being of our doing, the life within our living. The biblical parable Jesus shares in Matthew 19:24 further solidifies the key that unlocks the shackles of suffering. Quote, "And again I say unto you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God." Some claim that the accurate translation relates to a particular gate in Jerusalem known as the Eye of a Needle, and only the camel free from baggage or attachment is able to pass through the space, because the opening was so small. This perspective of the metaphor seems to have its heart in the idea that you may pass through into heaven with what you are, what you've done, and how you've lived, not with what you have acquired, collected, and attached yourself to materially. Liberation may be found in loving all without attachment, giving because it feels good to give, and allowing your presence to be a gift, given without expectation of anything in return. Coming out with the reciprocity card, that is a very significant lesson. That's taming the ego a little bit, which takes reciprocity and turns it into quid pro quo, instead of what the author of this Amenti oracle just told us. Jennifer Sodini is saying in that book that reciprocity is not when you give something and receive the same thing in return. It's when you give something and the act of giving fills you up. And that's a serious distinction to make. So if you can balance this energy, if you give offerings this week that are genuine, that are not out of obligation or duty or a perceived expectation of receiving something, you will really shift the energy in your dynamic with the people in your life. Now, do not mistake this card. A lot of you are overly giving and compassionate. I have people popping into my mind right now that I know are going to run to their phone and text their person and try to make their person feel better and try to reassure them and just to give. But I guarantee you that if your action is to give to that person, I still feel that there is an underlying motive for that person to perceive you as giving, kind, worthy. When you no longer hope that they perceive you that way and make a different decision in how they behave towards you, then you can give to them. But if when you give, you do expect that they're going to suddenly, whatever was wrong with you before, which is a misconception on your part, is suddenly going to be all better, I think that's going to be very disappointing for you. Now, that was a long one. I don't know if a lot of people are left right now, but if you are, this is your activity for this week. Ground yourself. Number 25. There's a rainbow here, which is giving me sound frequencies, so you might want to explore sound healing frequencies in your grounding process. I use that actually. But you're going to want to remain grounded this week. I am grounded, stable, and strong is the mantra. This says, come into the present moment. Connect with the earth and stabilize yourself in a harmonic state through grounding. This practice helps you integrate higher messages and callings by bringing them fully into your physical body through the earth's energy field. To ground yourself, sit or walk barefoot on the ground. Meditate on the sensation of connecting with the earth. Close your eyes and imagine your body growing roots into the ground. Visualize the roots going deep all the way to the center of the planet. Picture yourself drawing in the energy from the earth's core and using it to nourish your mind, body, and spirit. When you open your eyes, allow yourself to feel calm, centered, and clear. You can also ground yourself by eating a nourishing meal that contains root vegetables, gardening, shaping things with clay, or spending time in nature. Find an activity that makes you feel fully present in your body and appreciative of the connection you have to the earth. Quote, your journal prompt rather, how do you feel after taking the time to connect with the earth physically and through a visualization method? So do some kind of a grounding activity and then do a little bit of journaling on it at least once this week. If you do a daily practice of grounding and then checking into how you feel after you're grounded, I think you would get some pretty valuable information with that. Just do what feels good, what feels natural. Because this is supposed to be a spiritual practice, which is supposed to be somewhat a self-loving activity, not a punishing activity. At least I don't subscribe to that type of spiritual practice. Some people do. Punishment to get to a higher level of spiritual ascension is part of many faiths. No judgment here. I just don't like pain. I prefer to enjoy life through the feeling of the comfort that life offers. That's just me. And I definitely have uncomfortable experiences often enough that my spiritual practice is something I find comforting. But to each his own. And I hope that you do have a spiritual practice because it does really improve your life all around. And there is no, in my opinion, there is no one way to approach that, because I think any time that you are connecting with something greater than yourself, even if it's just the rest of humanity, you are doing service to your connection with the divine. And you can be secular and do that. You do not have to be a religious person at all to be able to do that. So I hope that you know that. And yeah, that's everything. I think that's the whole reading. So I hope this was helpful for you, and I will see you perhaps tomorrow. For sure, I will see you either Wednesday or Thursday here on YouTube. And then, of course, I may pop on to do a live reading on TikTok this evening. So I'll see you over there if you're over there on my Tuned In Tarot account. Have a glorious day. Take care.